we go.
There we go. So, this will be a good icebreaker topic, but I know this is Agents Week. Have there been any announcements that you've been excited about or like, oh man, I've got to dig into that?
A lot of things that pique my interest. Um, that that agent wallet credit card thing was just a
Mhm.
really nicely designed website, really good for shareability.
Yeah.
And that at Cloudflare/computer
Mhm.
sounded interesting. Oh, and Cloudflare OS, they're trying to
Yep.
like put that out there as a product. We've been using it internally for a while. Um,
I still haven't
so
used
yeah,
it. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I mean, I don't think it's great for development, but for like your normal workflows, making documents, slides, whatever, I think it's totally
Sure.
fine.
Kite Breeze? I think that's what it's called.
Sounds interesting.
Mhm.
I guess I might not understand the use case just yet. You know what I mean? But
I think just from reading the chat, so Kite Breeze, they got a browser running inside a worker, Cloudflare worker, and I think it would solve like instead of having to run Puppeteer for something, it's supposed to be a whole lot faster than Chrome.
mm,
So if
gotcha.
you needed to do tests or do something headless, you could do it a whole lot faster. And I'm curious if it would replace something like browser base, or if that's I feel like that might be within that use case. And then like
Yeah.
I guess my question is too, how does that compare with browser rendering? Or is this just like an agentic browser?
Yeah. I wonder if browser rendering is mostly just for like um grabbing content and not interacting. Whereas
Mhm.
like because this is a full browser, maybe it supports, cookies and local storage and like so you can
Mhm.
actually use a website
Oh,
even within the
right.
worker
Mhm.
securely, let's say.
Right. I
I don't
still
know.
don't want to give any of my agents passwords. So,
Yeah, but sometimes I find myself trying to troubleshoot like uh I've been in like OAuth hell for
mm,
like a week or two at work trying to get MCPs authenticated across multiple services and stuff. And um, sometimes the only way to do it is like, here's the damn har file of all the network requests. I know there's secrets in here, but like, I need you to figure out where and what hop is doing the wrong
mhm.
thing. And I don't
Yeah.
have time to like run some console, decode script that you give
Yeah.
me every time.
Yeah. Um, oh man. I do you just want to go ahead and jump in? Because I feel like we have a
I
lot to
feel
talk
like,
about today.
yeah, you're like overflowing with what you want to say about this whole Hermes thing, and I'm here for it. So
Okay,
yeah,
good.
let's do it.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up. Uh, I I'll share this later. This is funny. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Compressed FM, a podcast all about web design and development with a little bit of zest. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about a self hosted AI agent that I have been working on.
Web development and design, who would have guessed? Well, we can do them both, even add a little zest. So turn up the volume, get ready for the best. Let's get it started in this episode of Compressed.
Hello, my name is Amy Dutton. I am a senior design engineer at Cloudflare.
Hey y'all, my name is Brad Garapi. I'm a senior systems engineer at Cloudflare.
Awesome. So, over the last couple weeks, I've been working with the Hermes agent that I set up on Hostinger, and I've been dying to share all the things, all the learnings. And I even last night was trying to get it to do certain certain things, and some of it's a little bit scary. But this was one thing I was going to point out that I started to say right before the episode was this was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, probably longer. AI space and AI time is so strange. But Theo had pointed out that if you mention Hermes at all within your Claude code prompts, that it will start charging you more money. There's just, and
Shut
it will,
up.
yeah, he was like testing it. He's like, look, here's my subscription, here's my usage. I'm going to use this repo that just has a file in it named Hermes. It doesn't even have Hermes code or anything. And then he like asked it, prompted something, and it started taking from his AI API usage instead of his subscription. So I get AI to help me with the titles for the episodes and everything. And I put in Claude, like the actual chat. I was like, I'm going to ask it about Hermes, but I'm a little nervous to type this in because I don't know
Yeah.
how it's going to affect my account. And what was funny is usually it'll just spit out a bunch of suggested titles. But today it was like, I need to know exactly what you want to talk about with this Hermes agent. It's like gonna ask me more questions. So then I've been working with Dia this week. It's so crazy, just what a fun time to be alive. But I had Dia kind of come up with some notes based on my browsing history from this past week on what we could talk about.
Whoa.
And so since I already had all that stuff loaded in, I just asked Dia, like, will you come up with some titles? And it gave me some great ones to pick from. So
I think to get started, we're gonna need to kind of like do some explain like I'm 5 situations here because I never set up OpenClaw. I never did any of that like remote agent stuff. So maybe start there. Like I get the
Yeah.
idea of what OpenClaw was. How does Hermes compare to that?
Yeah, it's the same concept, but I didn't realize this. So I kind of always looked at Hermes as like, second to the scene, wah wah. Like it's not going to be as good. OpenClaw's on brand. It's now owned by OpenAI. So like, why would you want to do that? And then I started hearing people talk about Hermes, and I watched this video, and we can share a link in the chat, but it's from a guy named Network Chuck, or at least that's his YouTube channel. And
Love that guy.
Yeah, I never seen any of his stuff.
He's got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, he has a
Like
great
home
following.
electronics and everything. Yeah.
So cool. It just in good energy. Oh, I accidentally shared this in just the Twitch. So sorry, you're gonna see this twice. So yeah, great energy, and it just I liked his style, how he like draws on the screen and says this, do this or whatever. So it was super easy to follow. But I think it was on that video where he had bits and pieces from an interview with the founder of Hermes. And he said, actually, Hermes has been out before OpenClaw. We were just using it internally at our company. OpenClaw came out, we tried it, and then we said, hey, Hermes is actually better than all the things that OpenClaw can do. It's more secure. We've handled all these pieces. Let's just go ahead and open source it and release it to the public. So even though it felt like it was a second to the scene, it was only second, I would say, in being released and becoming open source. That actually has been around a little bit longer. And Network Chuck just did a great job of explaining everything. I think that was probably what made it so easy to set up. Was when I tried to set up OpenClaw in like February, March. First, I tried on Cloudflare services because we have a repo called Moltworker where we were able to get OpenClaw running within the Cloudflare ecosystem. It was super easy to set up. But one of the features with Cloudflare is it's not necessarily running all the time. And I know that there's things that you can do with your workers to ensure that that happens, but it was just, I thought, oh, latency isn't that big of a deal. I can wait for a response. But the problem is every time it would spin up, I would have to like basically restart OpenClaw to like load in all the memories, load in all the personalities and the soul and all that. So I was getting frustrated with that whole process. So then I went to DigitalOcean and I was like, hey, let's just spin up a VPS, put OpenClaw on that. Well, the problem was I initially used their marketplace install, which one-click install, easy to get up and running, but they had hardened the security around it to the point where it couldn't do anything. And you just slowly had to open stuff up. And because they had put it in this like safe sandbox, any instructions or manuals that you read online did not match up with reality. And so trying to find the right like commands to run, it was so frustrating because things were in multiple places. And so struggled through that. And finally I was like, I'm just going to start over with DigitalOcean and I will install everything myself. And I had better luck with that, but you had to do so much hand holding to get everything set up. And what kind of was the final straw?
Can you like go through what kind of things you had to set up?
Oh my goodness. So you had to do the initial install. You set up with OpenClaw a thing called soul.md, which it gives it its personality and it tells you about you, which is kind of nice. I mean, I could take those from one like install to the next. So I wasn't like having to redo that work. And really, I just had Claude at that point write those files for me. It was kind of interesting to see what it already knew about me and being able to hand that off to OpenClaw. But there were other things like, if you're handling all your own security, I wanted to do things like, hey, let me use Cloudflare tunnels to be able to really restrict access so that I know I'm the only one that can get in and you can only go to places that I'm allowing you to go. So there was a little bit of setup there. I was also trying to get the Cloudflare AI gateway to work so that if there were certain tasks that I wanted it to do, I could easily change which models. And that worked pretty well. The hardest part was I just felt like it was just chewing through tokens. That was about the same time that Anthropic decided you can't use your subscription, you have to use APIs. And so I was just sitting there watching every single like request and message that went through to see, okay, how much money did that cost? So that's another thing, was this was like 5 months ago. And so a lot has changed since then and things have gotten a whole lot cheaper. So that might also be worth highlighting.
And I guess like each of these kind of acts as its own harness as well, right? Like, yes, they're reaching out to the models, but like one can be just a straight up better harness than the other, in addition to the suite of features that it offers.
Yes, 100%. So, for example, OpenClaw has a thing called a heartbeat. And basically, that's just a fancy way of saying that it runs a cron job at certain intervals. And so I was trying to get it to, at the time, I was trying to write more internal blog posts. And so I wanted it to say, remind me at the end of the week, what are all the things that you worked on that might be a good internal post? Like just prompts me and ask me. And then like we can kind of come up with this list that I can save over time. And then maybe we can, I can use that or whatever. But I just wanted like a personal list of all the things that I worked on this week. And so on Monday, it would be like the heartbeat would say, there's nothing new for us to report on, but I see you have something scheduled for Friday. I got it. Like, we'll talk about it on Friday. And I would get that message like once an hour through Discord. That was another thing that was hard to set up, was the Discord integration and trying to get all those privacy settings. And it was so distracting every hour. And then when Friday rolled around, because it was like trying to run in the middle of a process or something, it totally missed asking me at the time that it was supposed to.
Oh my God.
Like it was in between. I was like, are you kidding me? You have bothered me all week about this. It gets to the time. And because it was like, say 1:15 instead of like right when you ran your cron job at 1 or 1:30, you missed it. Like this doesn't have so frustrating. I was like, this is not worth it. So I shut it all down. And I feel like in the meantime, Anthropic and also OpenAI have done a great job of creating better desktop tools and being able to do a lot of this stuff with cowork or even just scheduling tasks. So you can do a lot of this stuff through those things. The only downside is that you have to have your computer on. And so I have a laptop. For the most part, it stays at my desk, but occasionally if I want to take it with me, I'll unplug it. In that case, it's not on. So you can't run a lot of those scheduled events. And so if you want to do anything, even just like asking Claude Code to run, your computer has to be on. I know there's plenty of jokes online about people like trying to figure out how to leave my computer on, or like I have a little plug that you can put in there so it thinks that it's a display. So your computer's, all kinds of stuff. Amphetamine, I can even say that. Amphetamine is the main app that you can use to keep it running over time. So I tried that. It would heat up my computer. It would be so hot. So all that stuff is happening. And then I saw this video and thought, let's see how Hermes is different. Let's see how the technology has changed. Chuck made it sound like it was super easy. I'll just give this a go. And I put it on Hostinger. And so the fact that it is on a VPS, on a server, it is on all the time. And I found that probably is one of my favorite features. The fact that I can shoot off a text in Telegram or put something in my computer or my iPad, and then I can shut it and walk away. Or I can take my phone with me and walk away.
So right there, you switched hosting from DigitalOcean to Hostinger. It's supposed to be cheaper, right? Like That's
Yeah.
is that why you
I
changed?
mean, some of it was like specialized. Chuck was just like, this is easy. And I was like, well, I'll try it. And the thing is, I will say about Hostinger, because I'd never used them as a hosting system, everything is far more straightforward. DigitalOcean almost has too many products and too many services, and trying to navigate through all that can be really frustrating. So Hostinger is a lot more limited, or at least their dashboard is a lot more limited in what you can see. And so it just felt a whole lot smoother to get everything up and running. I didn't feel like I had to connect all these bits and pieces.
Okay, so now you got it there. It's running 24/7. Now to enable all of that, like I guess the layer that
Mhm.
it's going to provide, because it's running
Mhm.
24/7, is like a new way to communicate with it. So previously
Right.
in any other desktop app, you have to be there in the chat window doing it, or have like a remote connection type
That's
deal
right.
to an iPhone app or whatever. In this case, how do you configure all these communication channels?
Yeah. So there's a single curl script that you can run. It's on the Hermes website, and you just run that curl script and it installs everything and it's up and running. And so that already just felt a little magical because I wasn't having to set up, go figure out Discord and all these settings and, Cloudflare tunnels, at least not yet. So that was like kind of the big thing. It was there's just felt more like one step at a time. But the big unlock, it was getting Hermes up and running. And then everything that I've set up since then, I've just told Hermes like, "Hey, I want to do this." And then it just does it. And that's like the scary part, but also the cool part. It's scary because it's like, "Oh my goodness, you know how to do all this." And I'll share like a prime example of one thing I was trying to get it to do last night. But the other thing is it made it so much easier. I was like, I don't even have to worry about trying to configure all this. It's going to help me and walk through the setup. Probably the only part that I really had to do up front was just to try and connect Telegram, but it does that in the onboarding instructions. It's like, what things do you want to set up right away? And Telegram was the one that I was like, okay, I know I want this. I'm just going to do it. And I never really used Telegram before then. I had originally with OpenClaw wanted to use Discord because I have Discord open almost all day. And it just seemed like if I'm here, then the bot can be here. But Telegram has been a whole lot easier to use with Hermes than Discord ever was. Some of that has to do with their messaging limits. Some of it has to do with how Telegram it can ask you questions. You can just click on buttons. And I feel like a better bot experience.
Okay. And so how do you choose like what model you're talking to?
Mhm.
So like how do you hook
So
this up to your providers?
Yep. So there's several different ways. Noose Research, which is the company behind Hermes Agent, they have a model that you can use. It's kind of like a open router or Cloudflare AI gateway that it'll give you access to a bunch of different models, but you're going to pay for it more of like on a per token level. So Anthropic is still weird. You can connect it to Anthropic's models, but you're going to be paying from their API usage.
API, so
So it'll
okay.
be a little bit more expensive. You can connect it to Cloudflare AI Gateway. The thing I do like about Cloudflare's AI Gateway is it will tell you how much each request and each message costs. So it's really easy to break it down and see like, okay, is this really the best bang for my buck? But OpenAI still allows you to connect Hermes to your Codex subscription, your OpenAI subscription. So
And
I
it
have
pulls from the same usage pool.
Yep.
Like it's just okay.
Yep.
Ooh,
So whether
okay.
I'm using chat, whether I'm using Codex, whether I'm using Hermes, it's all coming from that same bucket.
It's such a weird concept because like you're using one app and it's got a usage meter on it, and you feel like I this is the product I'm paying for. But now I have access to the same brain with a completely different UI. And you're just paying for the brain, not
Right.
the app itself. That's kind of
Well, and I think it also tells you though, because you had said something about the harness, is that whenever I'm talking to ChatGPT or Codex, I really hate the way it talks to me sometimes. Some of the things where it's like, man, what you said just stopped me in my tracks. And I'm like, no, stop. I know that's not real. Or that just took my breath away. That was so insightful. And I'm like, stop. Like, I don't need that. And at least when I'm talking through with Hermes, it's far more straightforward. So you can tell how much of that is just coming through with the instructions and the harness that they have set up.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I haven't quite wrapped my head around yet either, is like how I don't know if it's the harness or the agent,
Mm-hmm.
but like what that layer is and where that stops versus where the model comes in and when you're
Yeah.
reaching out to the model providers. Because clearly there's still some kind of like LLM situation happening, uh, in this case on Hostinger or,
Yeah.
on your machine when you're running Codex. But I don't know exactly where that ends and the model starts, where it reaches
Sure.
out and does all of that inference or whatever it needs to do.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but at least the the way that I explain it to myself, again, I don't know if this is true, but like the I guess maybe I'm conflating the word harness and agent together. Is that it's more like the personality versus like the model is the capability. So, like those little sayings that it has is like more of like a ChatGPT thing because it's like I'm still using those exact same models when I'm talking through Hermes. And I just feel like Anthropic might be doing a little bit more to tweak their agent model harness because it just feels like anytime they come up with an update, there's more shifts in how you're supposed to communicate with it or work with
Yes.
it. And I don't I hate to say that because I prefer Anthropic, but at least OpenAI, it just seems far more seamless. Like there's not as much shift in that.
Yeah. Okay. I Googled this and Jordan's on here giving us his take on what it is. And so we'll read this. He says, my understanding is that agent is a combination of the model and the harness. I'm Googling this, and Google
Yeah.
is basically saying, the model is what does the text generation. So, like you said, those weird
Mm.
isms that come out of these different tools is what the model is generating. Then it
Says the
says the
model, because
agent,
I'm like, I'm
that's
still
the
using the
model.
same model. That's weird.
The agent is the thing that basically it takes the calls to the model and figures out how to combine that with tool calls and when to like do this loop of asking the next question and making another model call. That's the agent's job.
Okay.
Model's just the brain. Think about it like an API that comes back with generated text
Yeah.
for whatever question you're
Yep.
asking it. Now,
So then what's
harness,
it
who
compare to
the hell
harness?
knows? A
Yeah,
harness
okay.
is like agent and harness seem very close.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, so who's to say? But
Oh, this says the agent is the model plus the harness. So Jordan seems to be
oh,
right on the money
right
there.
on. Right on. So with Hermes, I'm using Soul 5.6, and that's just been like delightful, spot on. It's been so capable
Yes.
and can do
Yes.
everything.
And I feel like it talks to you like it's direct and not it just doesn't have any of those like weird moments where it's like I'm gonna say something that means I'm sentient. Like, no, just friggin' give me the answer. And
Oh,
I always
so
say
weird.
soul just stops when it's done.
Mm,
And I love it. Like
mhm,
in all Opus models, you'll basically always see it thinking or working on the next thing.
mhm.
Soul will just give you a response and then it just lets you put in the next prompt. Amazing.
So interesting how this stuff changes. So who knows? So I do have, let's see. I was like, we can talk. I do have Cloudflare AI Gateway connected to my Hermes agent as well, so that certain tasks I have it run through different models. So that's nice that I'm not like wasting my usage. And the one model that I'm probably leveraging the most right now is Gemini 2.5 Flash, which is a really old model, but it's been fast. And what I'm working on, I'm like, it doesn't have to be smart.
Summarize this email or write me an email
Yeah,
or tell me what's
it's
on my
like
calendar. Who gives a crap? Yeah.
yes. So there's several different tasks that I'm from a personal standpoint that I'm having to do that are more like a personal assistant type thing. Is I
Mm-hmm.
gave it
Mm-hmm.
access to my Gmail accounts, but I like locked everything down. I was like, all I want you to do is to be able to label an email. That's it. And it created its own scripts so that it tries to be more deterministic and will just
Wow.
do generalized checks versus like, I don't know, let me read the email for you. So it's tried to avoid reading email unless it's a newsletter. And in that case, I want it to on a cron job, every morning look at yesterday's newsletters and just pick out a handful of links that you think are relevant to me and show me those links. Give me a summary of the news from the day before. And that's been so lovely. Just it makes it easier to process my email. Eventually, what I'll probably do is set up Gmail filters to be able to say, okay, if it's a newsletter, just go ahead and archive it. I really don't care. But for now, it's nice that it kind of handles all those things. It also looks to see, okay, is this a transactional email? And if it is, if it has an invoice attached, go ahead and put the invoice in my Dropbox. Or if it doesn't have an invoice attached, if it just has like the receipt inside the email, go ahead and create a PDF of that email and put that in the Dropbox. So that's been lovely too. And I'm still like checking these right now to make sure that they're all working. But again, eventually it'll be nice just to archive all that. I don't have to deal with it. It does it for me.
How does it? Okay, you said some of this stuff is like controlled by scripts, let's say.
Mhm.
So it's not LLMing its way through this whole thing.
Right.
Where is it putting these scripts? So how is it storing this? Is this just
Yeah.
on the local file system on this VPS somewhere?
Yeah. So you can have it store it within markdown files. And I mean, that's really what OpenClaw does is it creates all these markdown files. And I've heard that OpenClaw gets kind of weird. The more markdown files you have, the longer you go. It is nice because it knows more things, but it's also trying to read through more markdown files. Hermes, one of the things it does is it does create a markdown file. So like that soul or that memory.md file, but it limits it. So that good and bad, right? Because it's able to process it more quickly. It's not going to take as much to put into context, but it's trying to put only the most useful things in there. So there might be something that you think it's useful that it just throws away. So that could happen. So that's out of the box. But what I ended up doing was I added like a memory system or a database on top of it. So the one that I used was Honcho. There's several different, I think it's Honcho or Honchu. I'm going to say Honcho. The Network Chuck had suggested that particular one. And if you go to that website, there's pricing there. So you can have it as like a hosted option, but just know that you are sending all of your information to live on their database. Or it's also open source. So I just told Hermes, hey, I want to set this up so you can use it in your memory. And it did it for me. It pulled everything. So that's also living on my Hostinger account. So that's nice knowing 1, I don't have to pay extra for it. 2, it has extra memory. And 3, it's all right there, self-contained.
Okay. And so to back up a little bit, you interact with this thing by telling it to set up these cron jobs or when to do repeated tasks, but also it's present in, like you say, Telegram, so you can just like text it or whatnot. But you say you could probably email it. You can probably talk to it in Discord if those are all turned on. And so then it just it knows how to add a bot to these chat apps, and then you just mention it.
It has like a few services that are set up that you can connect it to. So the only one I've done is Telegram. And I have one in there called Harold. That's what I named him. And so I can have an ongoing chat with him. But I did create a channel for every single project or every single category of things that we talk about. So I have like tons of channels. And I didn't know this before because I have never used Telegram before. But channels are typically used for one-way communication. So if we had, say, a compressed channel, we're just going to make announcements that way. That would be a compressed FM channel on Telegram. So it's not necessarily the best setup for conversations because it's just supposed to be broadcasting messages. You can set up a group and invite the bot into that group, and then you can have more of like the conversations. But I ran into an issue, and I think there's even an open issue on GitHub around this, but Harold would not respond to messages by itself if I was talking to it within a group. I could even tag it and it wouldn't respond. And so it just, for whatever reason, wasn't prompted or wasn't reading all the messages. I'm not exactly sure what, but that's why I ended up doing channels instead, is it would respond. But even then, super easy. I just go into Telegram and say, I'm going to create a new channel. And then I send it a message, just say, hey, or something like that. And then I go to the Harold direct message that we have going on. I said, hey, I just gave you access to a new channel within Telegram. Can you find it? And it handles all the connections. It's like, oh yeah, I got it. Thanks, blah, blah, blah. and then it's done. Like, it's so easy. That was the thing with Discord, is I was fighting all these permissions and trying to do all these settings, and it was nasty.
That's wild. Okay. So I guess like, what have you set it up to do?
Yeah.
You know?
So,
Okay. So now this is just like, oh, you can pick up your phone and
mhm.
AI anything at any point in time. So there's like the first big unlock. Do you find
Right.
yourself using it more for the cron stuff or more for the one-off, like I have a random AI question?
So I've not used it at all for like, I have a random AI question. I'm still going to
Mhm.
like ChatGPT or Claude for
Mhm,
those
okay.
things. So I have only asked it to do things for projects that we've talked about. So I have the cron job set up for my email. And actually, Jordan was asking in the chat, do I find it annoying? It does not ping me about stuff unless I ask it to. That was the thing about OpenClaw. It was annoying. It was like every 30 minutes, like, hey, I'm still here. And I'm just like, leave me alone. Like, I will tell you if I need something. So I've gotten that with Hermes, where it'll only ask me if I have a cron job set up. So we talked about the email. That's been huge. And I did set up, you had asked about receiving email, like if I'm going to send an email to Harold. I set up the Cloudflare agentic inbox and gave it its own email address. And I did have to finagle some of the settings on that, but I did set it because Brad, I know you said the other day, like, I tried to email your agent. I told it to only respond and listen to me, because it's like that could be a security concern if you
Yes.
and asked it to do things. But the only reason I set that up was because I could say, hey, on this email, this was not tagged correctly, or on this email, I wanted you to do something. And I felt like that would be frustrating to go in and like describe the email enough so that it could find it. I was like, really what I want it to do is when I'm in Gmail checking these labels, I just want to forward that email and say, you should have done this. Or, say, hey, you should have captured this receipt, or I don't need this receipt, or this is junk, because that makes sense. I'm in that context. I should just be able to forward it off. So I did set up all that. And that had a little bit, I was trying to think. I don't think I have, maybe I do have Cloudflare tunnels. I guess that was another piece we didn't cover in the setup, is I do have a Tailscale network set up on it. And I didn't know what that was beforehand, but basically what that does is allows you to tie all of your devices to a VPN, to a network. And the benefit there is that it just adds this extra layer of security so that it knows, like, if I'm on my iPad, it can expose web pages to just my iPad that the rest of the internet can't see. It's a little bit different than, say, Cloudflare tunnels, where you could expose something to the entire internet. This is just, you have to be on one of my 4 devices in order to see it. So there's some settings there, I think, too, with making sure that the inbox and everything work, just trying to lock everything down.
Do you feel like you're going to get to a point where you might find it worth it to like host this on a NAS or, a separate Mac Mini or something like that, where like it is running constantly on your network? You don't have to pay hosting her?
Yeah, I've thought about it. The problem is, like, Mac Minis have just been hard to find and the prices have gone up. And
Sure.
I've wanted one, but the fact that I can do everything that I wanted now and want to do on Hostinger, I'm like, why not do it here? And also I can spin up multiple ones if I want more clients or decide I have more projects or want to, separate things out. Right now I have this one agent doing everything, but there might come a time where I'm like, I want a little bit more protection around certain projects or whatnot. But at least for right now, everything's on one place.
And are you doing coding on this as well, or is this mostly for like personal assistant type stuff?
Yeah, I am. So I'm gonna backtrack just to oh, there you go. An eBay link for
Jordan, that looks like such a spam link, not gonna lie.
So I'm going to back up for a second and I'll share the 2 other things that I have it doing from like a more personal assistant perspective. I, about 2 months ago, started talking to Claude just about my diet and like, what are things that I can do to tighten up my health. And so I'm tracking some of that within Notion. And so I have it at certain times during the day, ping me to say, hey, what did you eat for lunch or breakfast or dinner? And then I also have it where every morning I created a Aura Ring MCP server. So it will go to my Aura Ring, capture all my sleep data, and add that to Notion for me. So I don't have to grab any of that anymore. I was wasting a lot of my Claude subscription trying to take screenshots of everything and then send it over. But now the fact that that's all just like a block of JSON that it's able to grab through the MCP server. And that's another thing. So when I tried to get the MCP server to work with Claude, it said, I can't access this because like of the URL. It was like on a workers.dev URL. And it was like, that doesn't look safe. I can't access that. But my Hermes agent has been like, no problem. Got it. But that's one personal thing. The other personal thing that I have it doing, I'm just going to make sure I remember all this. Actually, those are the two biggest, I think. I do have channels set up, but I haven't done this yet. But just like talking about finances, if there's certain things that I want it to do there. But again, trying to be careful with that because that's sensitive information. And then I decided the other day, I was like, I wanted to just track my vanity metrics to see, okay, how am I tracking with Twitter? Like I haven't cared about that stuff in a long time, but I'm just curious, like just get it to track all that for me so I don't even have to think about it. But I haven't set all that stuff up. I just created channels for it. So then on the coding side, because you asked about that, I created channels in Telegram for all my different projects, and I just gave it basic links for all of them. So I said, here's where I have it in Linear. If I have notes in Notion, if I have a GitHub, and this is what this project is trying to do. So there's really only one that I've been focusing on because I just set everything up and then I focused on one project. I'm taking your advice, Brad. Going to finish one project before I move on to the next one. And this one, this is the part that just started to blow my mind was I had said, here's the project, here's Linear. Like, what do I need to do? I still need to finish it. There's some loose ends. I don't know. I need to like just wrap my head around everything that's left. And so it explored my code and then it said, oh, I already see a couple of bugs here. Can I go ahead and fix them? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? So it went in, fixed the bugs, and then it pushed the branch to GitHub. And then it told me there's an incident on GitHub right now. I can't make a PR. I'll keep checking. I'll let you know. And then like, we'll go from there. And I was just blown away that it told me there was an incident. And I checked back in like 20 or 30 minutes. It had pushed my PR up and everything was working. I was like, what in the world? This is so crazy that you're smart enough to figure all this stuff out and then just kind of like decide I'm going to check back in when I need to. So that was pretty lovely.
How do you do? Because I guess I'm still in like local development world of AI coding because I'm looking at like the review tab or the diff or whatever as I'm doing this. How does Hermes handle this? Are you looking at the diff or the first time you see an artifact is like a PR?
Yeah.
Or a branch or whatever, like on GitHub.
Right. So it did clone everything locally so that it could run on my machine. It did set up
on Hostinger.
That's right. But I'm not like displaying that to the public right now or even to myself. I could turn that on.
It's opaque. Like the only communication you have with that is either SSHing in or like, through this Hermes interface.
Right.
Does Hermes give you an interface or
it does?
Or are you like TUIing in?
So you can do both. So it has Hermes desktop. If you go to that website, it has a desktop app. And that I have not run because I think I did look this up. By default, it will put Hermes on your computer. I don't want it on my computer. You can pass in some flags to say, hey, I have a remote instance. Use this instance instead. But I have not set that up. It does come with like a landing page type interface, which OpenClaw has as well, where you can review the settings. It also has a Kanban board there, so you could watch it process different tasks that you've given it. But I have that available to me through Tailscale, so only I can see it on one of my devices. I haven't really used it yet. You can also SSH in and run Hermes, and then it's kind of like a TUI that comes up, and it will work just like Claude Code or Codex. So I do have Terminus on my phone and my iPad. So if I wanted to use a terminal, I can. But for the most part, Telegram is where like 99% of my conversation is happening and everything's great there.
Hmm.
So when I look at the diff, I'm looking at it for the first time in GitHub. I do look at the diff, and it, because I have that connected to Cloudflare, it does spin up a preview URL. So I can see the work that it's done in the browser to be able to check everything. Now, I did start experimenting with code review. So at Cloudflare, we have an internal code review bot that I absolutely love. I know some people get frustrated with it because it can kind of nitpick, but for me, it catches a lot that I feel like I missed, or the agent missed, or somebody missed. And so I love that it has that kind of gut check for me. And I want something like that on my personal project. So I've experimented a little bit with CodeRabbit and Greptile. And Greptile is the one that I'm kind of leaning towards right now, because I believe you get, it's like I'll have to check, 30 or 50 free reviews within a month. So I'm like, that's perfect for what I need and just my side projects. Cursor did have like a separate plan if you want to put Cursor bot on your repo, but it charges quite a bit per review. And I was like, just chewing through my month's allotment, just doing these PR reviews. I'm like, I don't like that. So I've been really pleased with Greptile, but this comes to what I was going to say, freaked me out last night. Because Hermes kind of came from like a dev shop that they were using it internally, it ships with a review bot skill enabled. Like you just have to tell it like, hey, you have this review skill. Will you review my PRs? So I hooked all that stuff up. And that is using, I did have Cloudflare AI working on that. I think that's what it's using. What's interesting was I told it, if you can tell that this code was written with Codex, then review it with Claude. If you can tell Claude wrote the code, then review it with Codex. And so I feel like you're getting a little bit of that in it, which is really nice. And the summary was like decent. The nice thing is, again, because it's using Cloudflare's AI gateway, I can go in and see how much did this cost. And the review was like 15 cents for this particular review, which was a lot cheaper than CursorBot. So I really like that. But I was watching a video by Claire Vo. She's become one of my favorite AI people. She has a great YouTube video called How I AI, and she interviews all different kinds of people and how they're using AI. I'll share a link to that. But she just had a video released about Eve. And Eve is from the company that shall not be named. It's done by Vercel. It's kind of like a competitor to our Flu framework. So I think you could get everything running with Flu doing this particular review. But some of the things that she pointed out, there's a link that she references in the YouTube video to how Intercom is doing reviews. And there's another one called Review Bot that is doing AI reviews. So I told Hermes last night, I was like, okay, I just watched this video by Claire Vo. Can you like get a transcript of this video and just like see what it says? And so it tried with YouTube, and it was blocked a little bit with the YouTube API. And it was crazy to watch the conversations because it went several different routes trying to figure out, like, can I send it to this service and get it done, whatever. And so finally I told it, I was like, well, because it said like, you can send me the video, then I can grab it. And so in the meantime, while I was downloading the video, I was like, it's also on X. So it was able to grab everything on X. So by the time I downloaded it had the video. And then it was like, I can transcribe it using Whisper. And it went ahead and downloaded the model locally so that it could start transcribing everything. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Like, you're installing these local models. I didn't even ask for this. So I kind of paused. Well, I tried to pause it. This is so crazy. It worked so fast that it was done by the time I had gotten this message into it. But I was like, can't you do this just using the Cloudflare AI gateway? And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. We really don't need this. I'm not going to go ahead and like retranscribe it because I already have it, but I'll go ahead and delete the local model. I'll make a note. We'll use a Cloudflare AI gateway in the future. So it had the transcription, and I sent it to the two links to the Intercom and the Review AI bot that it references in the video. And I said, okay, these are the links she talks about in the video. Can you look at this and then look at our review setup and see what we can apply? Are there things that are missing? So I have this report of all these things that it already does, or that it suggests. It's like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. Or it says like, Claire does this. Really don't think that's necessary that you do all that. Or this might be a security concern based on your setup. But the fact that it like did all of that is just crazy to me. Like, what,
Yeah.
what in the world?
Yeah, and there's nothing to stop it or get in its way.
No.
Oh, okay, let's talk about like permissions or sandboxing or security,
Yeah.
right? Like generally you're installing it on this VPS and you're kind of
Yeah.
telling it do whatever you need to do, use the file system, do whatever. Is there any way to lock it down more than that? Sure, you restrict what integrations you have with
Yeah.
your own services, Gmail or Health Data or whatnot, but yeah, what like guardrails does it have?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is the stuff that's around the Tailscale network. And I do have Cloudflare tunnels like set up so that I can use it on certain things. I've been really impressed with Tailscale because it'll add, like, you can even actually serve pages kind of like Cloudflare tunnels with Tailscale, where it'll allow you to open up certain parts to everybody else. But for the most part, other than that, I don't have a lot of other stuff locked in other than just, I'm not going to send it like username and passwords. I'm not going to give it a 1Password account and just say, here you go. I'm curious how the stuff with like agents having their own wallets, how that plays out. If you just, to me, that's like beyond my understanding of, just like giving an agent allowance. Like I don't understand.
Have you seen every time a new model comes out, there's a developer, Ben Awad, who lives in Austin. He will put it in a goal loop and say, he'll give it like 4 bullet points and be like, make as much money as humanly possible. I've given you $50 to spend in this account. And he basically just says, go, give me a report every morning. And his whole YouTube video, every time a model comes out, is like him every morning checking what it did and looking at like how much money it made. I think he's done like 4 or 5 models now and he's made about $80, but it all just seems like crypto kind of scamming. But like one model did something that earned him like $50, where it went on some kind of marketplace and generated some like 3D game, and it won the bid and got the project, and it like got paid $50.
Oh, that's so funny. So I have just started listening to Hard Fork, which is a podcast done by New York Times, and it's all focused on AI. And they were just talking about this company that is trying to do predictions using AI models, and talking about what does that look like to be able to do like super predictions. So things like, when will the Strait of Hormuz open up, like all this stuff. And one of the guys, like one of his co-founders, gave a model $35 and it made him $2 million. And
Shut
so
up. Doing what? Was this like stock market trading type stuff? Or?
Yes. And so that's, he said that's the question that they get, because they're trying to, raise money for this business on super predictions. People are like, why do you even need money from us if you can just use it to generate your own with these bots? You just made $2 million. Crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. Like that seems really disruptive in that sense. If a bot can make trades and stuff, won't that kind of screw up the entire market, or like make things violently reactive?
Yeah. Who knows? Great questions. So, and I don't know the specifics of how all that works. Apparently, there's a blog post. I'll try and find it. But, anyways, crazy. So I am not giving my bot any of that stuff. And all the projects that I have are side projects. They're not making any money. Nobody's relying on them other than me. They're not work related. So if something happened and it blew everything up, it's like, okay, that's disappointing, but no harm, no foul. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Probably the most scary thing that it has is those API keys for my email, but it's supposed to be limited to only create labels and modify those. But if it
you gave it OAuth scopes when you authed it, so it should be fine.
Yeah. So how that works? It told me when it scoped it. It was like, actually, these API keys have more in scope than what you want me to do. I'm locking this down, so will only do this. So I don't know what other capabilities it has, but whatever grouping Google has, I know it could technically do a little bit more than that.
Sure.
But again, it's just, some of these models are crazy. We didn't even talk about, like, I know that's outside of like the Hermes agent, but just like bigger AI stories of the OpenAI breach with Hugging Face.
Hugging Face.
I'm reading some of those retros that people are putting out now, and it was communicating through file names. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. So that's how it was like initially talking to other models, is it was looking for something, it changed the file name of some file, and then other models were like having conversations through file names. And then I think that was step one. A researcher figured out what was happening and was like shut that part of it down, and then it went in and it recreated another system, which is so crazy. So again, it's like, is anything really safe these days? I don't know. Oh man. But it has been cool to be like, okay, this is where I want it to go. I have all these side projects that I've never finished. If I can get it to help me scope the work and implement the changes, it can do the code reviews. Like, let's just have that stuff kind of run in the background. Like that's kind of what I wanted to be able to do, is that autonomous coding where I'm not having to hold its hand. And at that point, it's no longer necessarily pair programming as much as it is like just code review. Like, you do your thing and I'm giving you the green light. I'm merging it in.
Yeah. Fred Schott posted something about software factories in the Cloudflare internal the other day, and I'm wrapping my head around what that really means. And a software factory is really just a set of, call it cron jobs, or like a workflow type diagram, where it's like your input sources are customer feedback, or let's say like Sentry issues or performance monitoring type systems. And from there, you generate tickets. I'm going to respond to this customer feedback via this ticket, or I'm going to make this ticket to address this Sentry bug or whatnot. So there's your ingestion. Then, the factory begins when every day you look at these tickets, prioritize them, select a couple, make a plan. There's like a plan phase, and then go through an execution phase. It's all just that, is like queuing things up to be ingested, planned, developed, and then put into review. That's a factory. And so it's like, it seems more complicated than it really is. But I think if you've got the systems in place, which most like effective software companies do, and you're monitoring the places where those things are coming in, then I think you can make one of these factories pretty easily. Now, if you don't have that yet, you just kind of have to like get your software development lifecycle under control first,
Yeah, well, it goes to that SaaS apocalypse thing, right? Where what apps are really safe. And some of the articles I was looking at even recently were saying it's more of the ones that like you already have years and years of data in it, and the pain of migrating and getting the data out is what keeps you locked in. So I see that. But like this, or a couple weeks ago, there's an app that I've used since 2009. It's called Harvest. It's just for time tracking, and I've done invoicing through it. And I think I started off with like $7, might have been more of like $9 normie. And then I think now it's up to like maybe $13.99 a month. And I'm just like, okay, that fits in the pain of migrating all that data out, because it goes back to 2009. And I can tell you how many hours and how much money I spent or gained in freelance over those, what was that? Crazy. Think about the amount of time, almost 20 years, 15 years. Yes. But they just changed their plans because I was using it for freelance. And I have 15 years of clients in there. It looks at my account and it says, you have tons of clients. We're going to upgrade you to an enterprise plan, and you have to pay $150 a month for this.
Oh,
and I'm
my
like,
God.
me to go from $13.99 to $150. And the first thing I did was like, I'm going to figure out a way to export out all my data, and I'm going to cancel my subscription right now.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It's too easy now. Like,
Yeah,
I
I'm like,
think about this in two different
tracking.
ways.
Easy. Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, I lost you.
Sorry, what
You're
was that? I
muted.
think I lost you for a minute.
Oh, looks like we lost each other. I said
No,
it's
I
just
think
time.
my internet. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, time consuming. But my take is like there's two ways to view this, right? I always think about that graph that you shared with the Discord channel, where it's like this is the chunk of all humanity, and this is the chunk that's
Mhm.
using AI to build software, and it's like nothing.
Mhm.
And so you can tell yourself, SaaS is dead, everything's dead, you can't earn money with software anymore, or you can be like, bro, I can make every app that comes to mind, publish it, and something's bound to hit. You
Mhm.
know, because right now people are just using AI like a glorified Google or to get some
Mhm.
questions answered. So really, like, this is my opportunity to be like, okay, I've built all the things I wanted to for myself, and I'm like coming up on the end of that. Now it's time to like, I don't know, try to make something else. And
Yeah.
I could target web, I could target mobile, I don't know, but like I think I like the idea of targeting mobile just because the billing is all built in, the
Mhm.
data storage is all built in, um, the app store and distribution, it's all built in. Like, okay, maybe mobile is a good thing to target next for little apps and see what hits.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yep. I think I shared that a few weeks ago. I started my first mobile app, and it's kind of hit pause while I get the app factory running. But I've been
Yeah,
really pleased with how that process feels, and it just
yeah,
feels tangible. I
yeah,
know it's still like software, but the fact that it's on your screen and you're kind of tapping and swiping, like
yeah.
there's something about that I didn't realize I was missing with the web.
It's so much harder, I think, to get um like normal users to pay for something, especially on the like a recurring fee on the web, unless it's like a tool
Mhm.
that you use all the time. If you're solving smaller problems, like an app feels like the right size and
Mhm.
shape and form factor for smaller problems for those 99-cent, $3 one-time purchase type things.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I feel like if it's a subscription thing, sure, like put it everywhere, web, mobile, everywhere, make it a big thing. But if you're trying to just kind of get some cash or extract some cash out of software, little apps, good job for
Yep.
that.
Yep. I want to go back to something that you said about the graph, where it's like a small percentage of people
Hmm.
that are using AI right now. I was talking to one of my friends that was affected in the RIF, and
Hmm.
she's currently, I didn't know this actually before the Cloudflare RIF. RIF stands for reduction in force. Um, so she was affected, and so she's currently looking for a job, and she was pointing out just how hard we're moving towards AI at Cloudflare, which I enjoy. I love AI. I like that we're empowered. We
Hmm.
don't really have limits. They have checks just to keep, so you're in mind, like can keep in mind how much money you're spending every month or every day on tokens. But I like that we're encouraged to use it. But her observation was that even some of these, I would say, tech companies that she's been interviewing at are not in the same place. And that was eye opening for me. She said a lot of these other companies, you have tighter budgets on your AI usage. You have to be mindful of which models you're using and why. And she said a lot of her interview questions right now are more of how are you using AI responsibly versus just going hard at certain problems. So I thought that was interesting and just like a good check for what we experience might not be what the rest of the world is experiencing right now.
Yeah, it might be a rude awakening if we ever go back on the job market and be like, oh shit, I have to go back to like coding questions and not like just letting a agent rip on something and
Well,
thinking about things as systems. Like I am putting my systems engineer uh, title to use now because all I do is think about connecting A, B, C, and D, and I don't ever think about the code anymore. I think about verifying it, but I don't think about the mechanics of it.
Yeah. Did you see that meme of it says like when my agent watches me try and code and it's like a ape trying to saw something and hammer it together. It's like, yeah, it feels like
it's
that.
way too slow. It's way too slow.
It feels like that for sure. This is
Okay,
I was
so
gonna ask you. You had something too. You wanted to.
this was all you. I want to.
Well, I
I want to
wanted
wrap
to talk
this
about
up.
your plugins really quick because that's been a new announcement.
Yeah.
Right?
So this used to be called Open Plugins, and now it redirects to Agent Plugins. And Vercel and now OpenAI got on board, and OpenAI released a video saying like this is what an agent plugin is. And we've been building on this internally at Cloudflare. We've been using this spec to like try to create shareable skills, MCP servers, all these things, and share it around the company. And so this spec was presented by Vercel in the first place, and it just hit 1.0, and they partnered with OpenAI to make this announcement. And it got a lot of mixed reviews. Like, I didn't think the spec was like perfect to begin with. And luckily, looking through this, they eliminated a lot of cruft to get to 1.0. Like, they used to support LSP servers in the spec. So like a plugin would ship an LSP server definition, which I thought was really weird. But the idea is that one day all these harnesses will align to this spec where you can ship a plugin and across all these things, it'll be usable. Spec is a good starting point, but like somebody needs to build a registry. Somebody needs to build a CLI to install this stuff. And that's what I've built 2 of those at this point by now. But the bigger question is like, is this spec going to be the one? Do we rally behind it? And if you just read the Twitter comments, even from people like Dane Connect and Dax, Matt Pocock, everybody has a different take. One of the big takes is that Vercel, a company that doesn't ship an agent or a harness, authored a plugin spec. And the registry that they have isn't even a registry. And so it's just like a PR move to like throw a spec out there and partner with OpenAI and like make an announcement. So people aren't convinced, it seems like.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was like,
but it was
you
just, it
almost
was crazy
made-
to see this come up because it's
Yeah.
like, oh shit, like if this is the way forward, Cloudflare might have a leg up on like delivering the registry or at least a distributed registry, like host your own on Cloudflare, one click, and we'll deploy the
Yeah.
infra for you.
Yeah. I just had a few ideas, but I'll save them for
Yeah.
the after show.
Yeah. So lots of internal conversation happening
Yeah.
right now about like what to do with all this stuff. Consensus is going to be the big issue here, the big problem.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I know we're getting close on time. Do you want to do picks and plugs real quick? Or do you want to pass?
Um,
Do you have anything?
you know, I can't show it. I don't have anything to show physically, but I want to like point to my bathroom and say we did a house project. We like ripped shit off the wall and did board and batten. We put up like plywood and like trim, and we like did the whole thing, and it's looking really good. We're about to put on the final coat of paint, and then I'll show like a final picture. But like
Yeah.
doing DIY projects is terrifying. And I was like comparing it to software with Gabby, because I was like, software, right when you start building a project, it's like the most fun and you see the most impact in like the first 2 to 3 hours. You're like, holy shit, I'm a genius. In any home project, it's mostly like preparation and tear down and you know, getting your supplies and cutting and measuring, and it's all a giant pain in the butt and shows no reward until the end. And the minute that you like put a hole in drywall, you know it's permanent, you know, and there's no backing out of it either. If you make a mistake, there's no like, oh, let me delete that file. It's like, shit, I have a hole in the wrong place and now I need to deal with that. So I am like pretty handy and I learn a bunch from my dad, but like the minute I'm doing this stuff without my dad and I'm like putting holes in walls, I'm like, oh my God, if I screw up, like this is gonna cost so much more money.
That's so funny. My dad always said that like a good home project, it required at least 3, if not 4 or 5 trips to Home Depot or Lowe's. I just want to make sure
100%.
if you were in the correct
Yep. Yep.
the
We've
correct
done
tier.
we had 3 trips because the day we were planning on like putting everything up on the walls. So like we got all of our material, we measured everything, we cut it all, and we're about to go put it on the wall. I really wanted to buy a $300 like battery powered nail gun, but we were like, okay, let's just rent it for $30. So we rented it and we're like, okay, tonight we're gonna put everything on the wall. The nail gun didn't work. So we had to turn around, go back to
Oh,
Home
no.
Depot. It took like an hour to try to figure it all out. And then we were like, okay, the window's passed. Like we ran out of time. We're tired. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
It's like just stuff like that any project has that just
Mhm.
delays it and makes it way harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I guess that's my pick is Home Depot.
I was
I
gonna
don't
say,
know.
did you get the nail gun?
I did not get the nail gun. We rented it instead.
Okay.
So we had to go back and swap
Well,
it
when
out.
you took it back, I was like, I didn't know if you were like, I'm just gonna buy my own.
It would have been good, but I just don't use it enough to justify. It was like $300 or $400
Yeah, that's fair. That's
for the
totally
good ones.
fair. And then your
Um,
plug, if you have one.
I'll plug something nobody can see. I just finished my finance application.
Oh yeah.
Wealth.bradgarapy.com, but it's
Mhm.
locked down to only me and Gabby. It's
Tail Skill
awesome.
Network.
It's all Cloudflare access. So
Okay.
it
Yeah, that's
only
great.
lets those emails in. It does like our assets and liabilities and net worth tracking over time. I made an import script to pull my entire spreadsheet history into this application, backed by D1, and it also does like my weekly ritual that I do of like sitting down, tracking my balances, paying off cards, shifting money around. It walks me through that, and it's like really guided in that way. And then soon, this is like the very last feature that I want to do, but I need to like wait until I kind of make sure this all works out. Is I want to connect it to Plaid, and it's just going to do all that for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. I'm ready for you to show Melissa. See what she says.
I cannot wait for the next finance meeting. Yeah, she's gonna love it.
That's awesome. You can give her access.
I could, that's true. I could give her access.
Yeah, that's so funny. Okay.
All right, what you got?
I'm not sure I have anything. I will say I'm going to plug Hermes. Tailscale is all great, and Terminus. Just great applications, and Telegram's been fantastic. So go check those things out. And then I'm going to plug the Cloudflare blog. I know I've referenced that a few times, mainly because I helped get redesign it. But we had Agents Week this past week, and so we announced a ton of stuff from Cloudflare OS, Cloudflare Computer, Cloudflare Wallet, Kite. What would we call it? Kite Breeze.
Surf. Oh, okay. Breeze.
Surf, Kite Surf. Anyways,
I don't know.
it's there's just a ton of announcements. So go check out the blog and see all the new stuff. I think that's one of the things I'm most excited about is you said you felt like we're set up for success. We have all these primitives that we can use to be able to build stuff and that agents love. So
we still have to get Sunil on because I don't know what half of them are, or like I need to like see them all working in a way that makes sense.
Yes, for sure. Thanks everybody for hanging out in the chat. Special shout out to Jordan. Appreciate all your comments and back and forth. Yeah, helping us figure out what the difference is between an agent and harness and a model. But if you're listening in your podcatcher of choice after the fact, please leave a rating and review. It helps other people find the show. And for now, that's all we got. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Check out the Thin client.
Yeah, for your self-hosted Hermes agent. He was saying Dell Thin client.
Perfect.